One of the things that is most important in growing good container plants is the quality of the soil or the media in which those plants are growing. Stacy Adams and I are working with a group of university faculty and local producers to come up with some combinations of mixes that will do all the things that plants needs, as well as meet economic needs for the producers themselves. Stacy, a lot of people like to produce their own mixes for use in their container plants and in production. Can you talk a little bit about the components of those mixes and what is and is not important?
Well, what a lot of consumers know is we shouldn't use just field soil or garden soil in their container because of the high clay content being too tight. So a lot of consumers will go on and use compost and mix it with their field soil, but we'd like to add other items perhaps to loosen it up a little bit more so that we can still offer the nutrition that the plants need, but to give them that oxygen and that water holding capacity, as well as a good ability for the roots to get a good depth within the container.
Stacy, as we continue with this research project, what are some of the other issues that you know we thought about and we're going to be dealing with in developing our data?
Well, one of the big issues that happens to be with potting mixes is a lot of the supplies that are used in potting mixes come from all over the nation and other parts of the world. So a big issue is sustainability. We're mining ores from Africa, bringing them to the U.S., and they have to be heat treated in order to puff up to make perlite and vermiculite. Peat moss is brought in out of Canada, so we have this trucking issue, not to mention there's questionability of the sustainability of peat. So what we're looking at is hopefully creating a potting mix that we would call more sustainable or more locally derived materials. And I'm looking at materials that I think would be byproducts of current agricultural things going on in our state.
So with all that in mind, where do you think we're headed next on this project?
Well, sustainability is the key on the project, so we're hoping to use these locally derived materials. One product that I'm looking at is composted dairy solids coming from a dairy such as Prairieland Dairy, who's cooperating in our project. It's also available from feedlots that compost their manures, and the reason they compost these manures is to prevent pollution. Other things I'm looking at is perhaps ground corn cobs, because it has this ability to, with the high carbon content, it tends to hold its structure. So it'd be a suitable replacement perhaps for vermiculite, giving us that aeration. And then a final thing that we're looking at is somehow to offer some nutrition in there. So we have the composted dairy solids, but we're looking at other products such as perhaps alfalfa or other materials that are naturally grown in Nebraska.
Stay tuned on Backyard Farmer as you see the results of our very interesting research on the potting mixes that we're developing for you to use in your home garden or as a producer.